Throughout this training, there will be times that you may need to grab your dog's collar. What we do not want is for your dog to shy away or have a negative association with this activity. Spend some time playing the following game with your dog to help them feel more comfortable with the collar grab. To practice grabbing your dog's collar and making them feel more comfortable, you will want to first practice touching your dog's neck where the collar is and use your verbal marker to reward. Then you will reach for your dog's collar, then touch the collar briefly, mark, and reward. Finally, once your dog is comfortable with you touching their collar or neck area, move on to grabbing the collar itself. Hold for just a second, then mark and reward. Be patient. Make it fun for your dog. Stay positive. Play this game several times throughout the day, keeping the training sessions brief and engaging. The final goal of this activity is to get your dog comfortable with you reaching, touching, and holding the collar. Gradually increase the amount of time you are holding the collar and then mark and reward. Ultimately, your dog will become desensitized to you reaching for and holding their collar and even welcome your touch in the collar and neck area.
Yes, good puppy. Yes. Yes, puppy.
The next behavior we are going to learn is our recall or come command. This is one of the most important behaviors your dog will ever learn. Most dogs will come to you whenever you decide to walk away because they will instinctively follow you. Making this a reliable response, however, usually takes months of consistency and positive training. Building a good foundation is key to getting a reliable response. To build a strong and reliable recall, it is important to remember to make teaching, training, and coming to you fun and enjoyable for your dog. You should always have your dog leashed when training your recall or come until you are certain your dog is going to respond. I recommend a 15 to 25 foot leash for this part of training. To begin training the recall or come command, first start by saying your dog's name to get their attention. Remember that whiplash head turn game from video 1? And then say the cue that you choose, for example, come, front, or here. Remember to only say your cue once and encourage your dog to move towards you. When your dog begins to move towards you, mark with your verbal marker word. Then when they get to you, give a treat and celebrate. Make it an exciting and wonderful thing for them coming to you. You only want to use your cue, such as come, front, or here, once, so your cue continues to have value and does not lose its novelty. Your dog gets used to hearing the cue repeatedly without responding to it, it will no longer have any meaning. If for some reason you cannot encourage your dog to move towards you, gently pull on the leash and reward when they get to you. Remember to never scold your dog for not coming to you fast enough or use your recall cue in a harsh tone. The recall command and them coming to you should always be a positive thing.
Neo, front. Neo, front. Good boy. Good boy. Good job.
Another way to practice this at home is to have your dog on that 15 to 25 foot leash and toss a treat away from you. While your dog is getting the treat, say their name. When your dog turns toward you, start walking backwards and say your recall cue. Be energetic when they get to you. Reward, praise, and celebrate.
Get it. Neo, front. Good boy. Good job, puppy. Get it. Neo, front. Get it. Neo, front. Good boy. Good job. Get it. Front. Free.
Another game that you can play to build a reliable recall response is called the back and forth game. One important thing when playing this game is playing it with another person that your dog is comfortable with. Start the game in a quiet environment so it is easy for your dog to focus on you. Always play this game in an area where your dog is contained, such as your yard where it's fenced in case they decide to run off. Hold your dog back while the other person calls them with enthusiasm. Try not to use their name or the cue word now, but instead talk excitedly to kind of rev them up. Do not release them until the person calls their name, followed by the cue word that you have chosen, such as come, front, or here. When the cue word is given, release your dog and let them go running to the person calling. As soon as they reach them, they should praise and reward them with a game of tug or a high-value treat. Once your dog is rewarded, have the other person hold them back as you call them and release as you say their name, followed by the cue word. Again, when they come to you, reward them with another game of tug or high-value treat. Repeat this game back and forth, but only do a few repetitions so your dog does not get bored or too tired. Keep the game brief so that it stays fun and exciting to play. Then begin increasing the distance you call them from and reward through play or treat for their compliance. If they do not respond, go back to the previous distance and repeat.
Neo, front.
Neo, front.
Good.
Yes, good puppy. Okay, free.
Neo, front. Good boy. Good boy. Yes. Free.
Neo, front. Good
Good.
boy. Okay, free.
Neo, front. Good boy. What a man. Free.
Neo, front. Good boy. Okay, free.
Neo, front.
Free.
Good boy. Good boy.
One final thing to remember is that ending the fun may also discourage your dog from coming reliably. Practice calling your dog over, then letting them go back to what they were doing, using your release word. For example, if your dog learns that every time they come to you while at the dog park, you always put the leash on and leave, they may begin to hesitate when coming. Call your dog over, throw a party when they come, and then let them go again. Coming when called shouldn't always end the fun. This is also an excellent time to practice your collar grab game. Remember, throughout this training, to start training in a distraction-free environment and then progress over time to areas with more and more distractions so that a reliable recall will happen even with many, many distractions. This skill could save your dog's life. One of the most common issues people have with their dog is that the dog pulls when on leash. There are all types of devices marketed to keep dogs from pulling on leash, and while some of them are great for managing the pulling when training isn't possible, it is very important to understand that none of these items will ever train your dog to walk nicely on a leash. The only thing that is going to teach them to walk without pulling is reinforcement in the position that you want them to be in, and not allowing them to go forward when there is any tension on the leash. If you are having problems in this area, chances are your dog has become desensitized to the pressure around their neck when walking. They want to go forward, and if you are willing to allow them to go forward with tension, then that is what will happen. As a result, pulling on the leash becomes part of the routine. If pulling has been part of the routine for any amount of time, it's going to take an equal amount of time and effort to replace the old routine with a new one. If you want to have your dog stop pulling on the leash, the first thing you must do is set your criteria. For you to have a pleasant walk with your dog on leash, where does your dog need to be? That is a good question that only you can answer. This is really up to you. Just be consistent. I begin teaching every dog I work with that being close to me is valuable. Begin the reinforcement in the heel position to build value for being directly at your side. Then after the dog understands that position, you can loosen up your criteria for a loose leash walk. In heel position, the dog is at your side with their shoulders even with the seam of your pants. The dog moves with you. When you turn, they turn. When you stop, the dog generally offers a sit at your side. This program will not go into formal precision heeling. If you wish to learn more about this subject, there are some really good resources that can be referred. The first exercise can be taught in your living room or kitchen. There isn't any movement required. You can even use your dog's regular diet that they would normally get for breakfast and dinner. Traditionally, heeling occurs with a dog on your left, but for this program, it's important for your dog to learn to be comfortable on both sides. Choose the side you are most comfortable with to start. With the food in your hand or in a bowl, position your dog at parallel and at your side. You may have to lure them into this position. Take a piece of food or a treat, tap your hip twice, and then drop the food straight down into their mouth. You shouldn't have to reach back or forward for this. Your dog should be the one to adjust their position if needed. Your arm goes straight down to their mouth. Your dog will likely move out of the position, so you might have to lure them back again and repeat with 2 taps on your hip and another drop with your hand straight down with a treat. This may seem non-productive at first, but this exercise is teaching your dog where the reinforcement zone is. This is the position where the reward will be delivered, and eventually it becomes as much of a habit to be in this position as pulling on the leash once was. When your dog is staying in this position consistently, you can begin movement with taking a step with the leg closest to the dog. Mark and reward if your dog stays with you. Add more movement gradually. The tapping of your hip will become your cue for your dog to heel, get in, or let's go. When you can tap your hip and your dog readily comes into position, you're ready to add the verbal cue. Remember to train in an environment without a lot of distractions at first. Let your dog understand the concept before taking them into a more distracting area. When you do move into a more distracting environment, be ready to take a few steps back in your training. Remember, dogs don't generalize. We must show them that the cues we give mean the same thing everywhere in every situation. If you allow your dog a little more distance out of heel position, continue to mark your dog for walking nicely without tension on the leash, but require that your dog come back into the heel position to get the reward. Remember, straight down at your side into their mouth. It is important to remember that every time the dog is allowed to walk forward with tension on the leash, they are being rewarded for moving forward with tension on the leash, and your training will go backward. Chances are you've been rewarding your dog while they are in front of you, so the position in front of you has become valuable and conditioned. If your dog moves out of position to be in front of you, you can lure the dog back by taking a treat with the hand on the side you are working the dog, and luring by moving your arm back while stepping back with the same leg, and then moving your arm and leg back by your side. This is called a finish.
Free. Yes, good. Front. Good. Yes, good. Front.
There are a few things you can do to avoid reinforcing the pulling. First, you can stop and wait until there is no tension before moving forward again. Second, you can change directions. The moment you see the dog is about to go to the end of the leash, quickly turn the opposite direction. This will teach your dog to pay more attention to you and where you are going. Mark and reward whenever your dog checks in with you while on leash. If you take your dog out on leash and don't have time to train, you can use a front clip harness or a head halter designed to manage the pulling so that pulling on leash isn't inadvertently reinforced. This is going to take some time and a lot of patience on your part, especially if your dog has a long history of pulling. Hi, this is Jill Powell, co-founder of Remnant Canine 360, with your dog fun facts for the day. Dogs are omnivores. That means that they eat meat, grains, and vegetables. Puppies have 28 teeth and adult dogs have 42. The best age to bring a puppy home is between the age of 8 and 12 weeks. Dogs can see best at dawn and at dusk. Dogs are not colorblind, but their eyes don't have receptors for red. They see in shades of black and white and also in shades of blue and yellow. Highly trainable dog breeds like Golden Retrievers, Labrador Retrievers, German Shepherds, and Collies are more kid-friendly than some other breeds. More than 1 in 3 United States families owns a dog. The average number of puppies in a litter is 4 to 6. We hope you've enjoyed your fun dog facts for the day. Keep on training until next time.